Hey everybody, Ace Maven here, coming at you with a video for Vox Machina. This is a getting started video. So some of the things you can do to just get started in the game, if it's like your first time playing or you're still learning your way around the controls and stuff, this will be the video for you. So let's go ahead and get started. So this is the initial screen you see when you enter the game. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about each of these settings so that you kind of know your way around the control board. So the first one is training. I'm not going to click this right now. It's pretty self-explanatory. It just kind of runs itself. It goes through and just gives you an idea of what the different controls within the grinders are, how to pilot it, how to shoot, how to aim. So I'm not going to go through that one. We'll just go around the board here. Join is how you join or create games. So if you select your buttons, by the way, I'm using an Oculus Rift with touch controllers. If you click join, you'll see that these are the servers around the world that you can select. The ones obviously that have some players in them are the ones with real players in them. As well as bots for the most part that'll fill out the rest of the team there. You'll see, so first you see the location, so try to pick if you're starting your own one, try to pick a server that's close to you if you can, because you'll get the best performance. You'll also notice what I'd really like to point out here are the descriptors. So you see Chicago 2 team A. So 2 team, it means that there are 2 teams, obviously, but the server will just cycle through different game modes on its own. It'll play a death match at this world, and then a salvage at this world, and a stockpile at this world, and it'll just automatically cycle through. So you're along for the ride, playing the games. Now what you'll see here is free play. Now free play is different. Free play actually gives you control of what the settings are, which world you want to go to, what game mode you want to play, how many players you want to have. So even though this says 4 Los Angeles free play, you can go in there within the settings and change that. So you'll see, I'll just kind of click on Chicago 2 team. You see it's deathmatch at a certain world.
Deathmatch. Work with your team.
So you would just select, and then you would just run in there and start playing with the rest of the players. So in contrast, if you join free play, you see now this is my game, Ace Maven's game, okay? And you can actually go into match, and you see it's set for convoy, which is a game mode with fast fuel on, all talk, at challenging. But you can actually go in here and change, change all of these things. You can select, I keep selecting the same ones. You can set it for deathmatch at Topaz Twilight, change the number of players. So you can do all that if you join a free play server. Okay? Now, not to be kind of confused with free for all. So here's free for all. So free for all is just that. Every player for himself or herself. You're just out there trying to kill each other. Now, free for all is one where it doesn't cycle through the different modes and stuff. That it's just an all-out, one on 1v1. Every person for themselves. It'll cycle through different worlds, but that's about it. So we want to go ahead and disconnect from our game, so we don't sort of confuse folks. So that's join. You're joining the servers that are out there. Create is a little different. You see you can create an online game. So this, if I created an online game, it would actually pop up in that server list of join. It would say Ace Maven's game. Now the difference is, if I were to quit that game, like I had to leave, I disconnected, everybody would be disconnected. Okay. If you're in a free-for-all, a free play, if you're in a free play, it's Ace Maven's game, but say somebody else joined, and then I quit, they would gain control of the game. So it never disconnects everybody. So if you have 16 people playing and you leave the game, it still continues to go. It's just the next person who had joined is in charge. Or another way of giving control to someone is to go to interact. Now there's no other people here, but say Gort was an actual player, they would be bright, and I could select Gort, make them my buddy, and then your buddy would have control after you leave. So that's just a little tidbit for the free play. The other thing about create, so that's online. LAN, which I've never used, but I guess you can set up a LAN game if you're at a conference or something like that, and you want to set up just a local game on your network, you can set up a LAN game. Offline is great for practice. So basically you're on your own, but it's great to practice. You just select your world, nobody else is going to join. It's good to get some practice in. The bots at first might be a little challenging, it might seem, but after a while they become pretty predictable. But it's great for practicing different weapons, different loadouts, different grinders. Obviously we'll quit the game. Credits, we'll see who made Vox Machinae. Excuse me. So rumor is you get a hat if you read the credits, so go ahead and read those credits. And you'll get a hat. I never did a before and after to see which hat it is, so I don't really know. Okay, and then we get into settings and loadouts. So a few things to say about these. Within settings, obviously, you have your video quality, super sampling, MS-AA are two of the big ones that will kind of affect performance. Now, this video was recorded just prior to a big update that's coming out on December 2nd, 2019. Which actually will affect the quality of the video. It will actually reduce the demands on your system and increase the video quality. So, but nonetheless, this is where some of your video quality can be found. Resolution, I've never played with this stuff, but blinders is one thing that I turn off. So this is a block peripheral vision while steering to enhance VR comfort. I like to have as wide a range as I possibly can. Vox Machina is really kind in VR sense of motion sickness. I've never gotten motion sick in Vox Machinae. So I turn off these blinders. All the other stuff, if you probably know more about it than I do. Oh, this is one thing, since I do record, I turn on render within VR Mirror, so that gives me the best recording video that I can get. I don't know why you'd want to turn a nose on or off, but there you go, I've got my nose turned on. Alright, controller mapping. This is a good one. So everybody's got different controllers. I've got touch controllers, but what you can do is actually start setting like different, you can start now this is not really for weapon mapping exactly. This is kind of for everything else. So if you really want to like throttle up, throttle down for movement, that's handled within the cockpit. But if you need to maybe map a different controller, or if you want to put it on like a button or something like that, you can do that here. Okay, so don't worry about like setting your weapons here. You'll actually do that in the grinder loadout part of sort of the normal part. This is more if you want to start, really customizing some of your other controls. For example, you can put like a couple things I've thought about doing but haven't really done them yet because it kind of messed up a few other things, is to put my ignition on a button. So that allows, you can do that with the key in the cockpit, or you can map it to a button. And I would like that because sometimes when you shut down, you cool down more quickly. So it'd be nice to have that on a button, and you just click a button, you shut down, you click a button, you open up. That would be a good one. Another one is like the mic. The VoIP. So you can put the mic on a button if you just want to click a button, to have the mic, you can do that. So basically, and then reset. So this is where you can sort of map all those other little controls if you wanted to do that. But that is not, again, you'll map your actual weapons within the grinder loadouts on their own. All right, so, and then controller settings. Now here's a pretty good one, at least for aiming. So I haven't really messed with a whole lot of these things, but aiming is one that definitely is good to know that this is here. There are a couple things here. VR scope mode, so gaze, that's wherever you look is where your reticle, your crosshairs are going to go. Or you can change it to manual, and it would be on your little, your little thumbstick or controller, basically. And you can look your head all around, but your reticle will, stay in one place until you move it. Oh, I'm sorry, that's VR aim mode. VR scope mode is when you bring down your scope, your long range zoom in scope. You can look within your scope screen, and I'll kind of show that in a second, with your gaze instead of moving around your joystick to do that. VR aim is when you're just in playing and you're looking out the window. Same thing, you can look around. This is a big one that we sort of discovered, the players have discovered here, is the scope speed. So you see the scope speed here, we've got quite the range, up to 50%. But we found that within the scope, for the best control on that screen, to just set it as low as possible at 5%. So when you're getting started, go ahead, jump into the settings here. The aiming settings, what's that? Yeah, the aiming settings. Make sure your VR scope is set to gaze, and then set your scope speed to 5%. It'll help you out a whole lot, okay? All right, some of these other things, I don't even know what these are. So you can play around with those if you want to. I haven't even played with them myself, but the aiming was the most important one. Finally, of course, probably, let's go to audio and then we'll go to pilot. So audio, here's all your different audio settings. I actually want to turn up my voice chat. I had that turned down last night. So this is you hearing other people talking. So of course there's master volume here. You've got voice chat, that's you hearing other people talking. Voice chat transmit, that's you, how well they hear you. The background music, the dialogue of the AI buddy over here, you destroyed so-and-so, torso critical, hear that one a lot. That's her voice, and then the effects of shooting and blowing up and all that good stuff. So sometimes you might want to, turn down your master volume. You may want to turn down your voice chat receive if it sounds like, it's really loud, or people are like, hey, or like transmit volume. So sometimes people will be like, hey, we can't hear you, or your voice is really low. If it's not something on your settings on your computer, you might have to go here and make sure your microphone volume is turned up so that people can hear you. So that's where that is. Finally, pilot, most important one. Hey, everybody. Of course, you can choose, your model. You can choose your height, taller or shorter, and then you can choose your headgear. So, you can choose all these different neat hats and stuff. Some of them are going to be locked. You have to see Convoy Hunter. I have not earned this one yet. The Boat Hawk. What the heck is a Boat Hawk? I don't even know what that is. So you can earn these different hats and wear them to your heart's delight. One of the fun things to do, if you ever get in here, you definitely want to go in here and set your height to 3 feet, because that's like a thing that you have to try in Vox Machina. And look at these teeny little hands. Hi, everybody. Hi. Oh, my little hand. Ah. So you got to try that, and then go in and pilot your mech, your grinder. These things are called grinders because we're miners. So mechs are for some other weird thing. All right, so that's basically your way around the settings board. Okay, so finally we're on loadouts, and this is exactly what it sounds like. Here are the 7 different grinders. So you can select a grinder, and here are the different loadouts. So let me go ahead and select one that's I can always reset more easily. just delete the ones I have here. Alright, so basically there's always going to be some default alpha. So you can select that one and then modify it if you want to. So let me just go back to where we were. So say I wanted to configure some drill loadouts. I select the drill. First I'll go ahead and select the one that's in there, the default. And then you can select your weapon and set up. And then you see I selected that one. First, see here's A, change, B, back, whatever it is for your controllers. So you go up and you highlight, you know, the weapon that you want to change. You select which weapon you want and you can read about it. And then you select it. And then it shows you that you can choose which, you know, button that you want to put it on. So I could choose my right trigger, my left trigger, my X, or I mean my B, or my Y button. So then you just press that button and now it's mapped to that button. I just want to make sure this is correct for when I actually do play it and I'm not go crazy. And now I'll select my left trigger. So now it's mapped to the left trigger. So it's, in this case, group 1 is my left trigger, group 2 is my right trigger, group 3 is like Y, and group 4 is B, I believe. So one thing here to keep in mind for this or any other mech grinder, mech is still sort of your general, you know, Kleenex term, right? For the grinder, so I'm okay with it. But you can easily have, like, for example, on Gold Rush. Let me show you these are my two favorite loadouts on Gold Rush, are this alpha and beta. So alpha I got 2 small cannons on top. See those 2 small cannons, and then my crotch mounts a large cannon down there. So you'll see actually my 2 small cannons are grouped to 1 button. So you can do that as well. So obviously you'll be holding down that 1 button, and both of those will be firing, you know, in succession or together anyway. If you hold down the button, they'll be firing continuously. But they'll fire at the same time. Now I could map those to different buttons and have each one on its own button. But this works best for me with this grinder and this loadout, so I keep them on the same button. My crouch mount, of course, is going to be on a different button. So you want to make sure, you know, you have you have these mapped where you want them to go. Remembering that if you're firing, you know, kind of, you know, each weapon when you shoot it has a certain heat level, right? So if I'm firing 1 small cannon, it'll jump this much. If I fire, you know, 2 small cannons, it'll jump, you know, twice as much. So if I'm firing 2 small cannons over and over, you know, my heat could accumulate faster than if I'm sort of firing, you know, one, and then, you know, maybe I wait a second, it goes down, and then I fire one, and so let's put it this way: if I had everything mapped to the same button, my heat is going to be like boom, boom. I'm going to get like, you know, 5 or 6 shots or something, then start overheating. So you want to kind of be careful about, you know, mapping weapons to the same button. But that's about it. I believe that's pretty much all the controls, all the main basics of the startup screen here. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer them. All right. So otherwise, I will see you in Vox. Take it easy, everybody.